so much, Wendy. All right, so we're going to dive into, one of the key aspects of business architecture, information maps, but just to provide a little bit of context, I just want to kind of frame it in the context of the business architecture framework that's offered by the BizBot guide. The latest version is 6.5, and it's based on the premise that, one of a means to an end, but not necessarily an end to itself, is to build a business architecture knowledge base that's populated with different types of content, and then express and share that content with stakeholders via what are called blueprints, i.e. Diagrams, matrices, reports, based on whatever kinds of scenarios that we're trying to address. So there's a lot of different ways you can slice and dice this architecture content, but we always want to be mindful that whatever we're doing, should be furthering a consensus and understanding amongst the enterprise via key stakeholders, what kind of content they need to make, well-informed decisions. And the business architecture knowledge base itself is composed of two sets of content, one that's called core or foundational content, that's in the yellow circle in the middle, capability, organization, information, and value. And so, that's the foundational, fundamental concept of information mapping that we're going to get through. But we're also going to see, as is the case with others, how information intersects with some of these other perspectives, particularly strategy, policies, product, and initiative, for example. So according to the BizBot guide, what is an information map? Well, it's basically a representation of the different kinds of business objects and relationships between them that are required to support the activities related to individual capabilities. This includes not just, as you'll see in a little bit, information concepts, but also domain concepts to represent groups of related business objects. And ultimately what we're trying to do here is build a model that is a representation of a common enterprise vocabulary, particularly surrounding the nouns or the things that represent, what the business does and the kind of information the business needs to keep track of. Like many of these models, while they're often very informative by themselves, namely, let's just take a look at what the information is related to event management, which is what we're going to take a look at in a little bit. But again, how that intersects with other perspectives like capabilities and particularly policies related to data retention, privacy, and security. There are synonyms for how other people may have arrived at a same perspective. Some people might call what I'm going to show you a domain model, a conceptual data model, a business glossary, or a data dictionary. But again, ultimately what we're trying to do is represent the nouns that we use in the business to describe itself so that we have, again, concurrence on that language, and that, as you'll see in a little bit, that's very useful when doing other modeling and trying to make good decisions about how to transform the enterprise. So, of course, information is pretty critical to the modern digital business, namely pretty darn hard to focus on, what customers need if we don't have good information about customers and the things that they're using in our business. Allows us to do such things as, reach out to those customers with specific offerings based on their buying preferences or demographic profiles. Obviously, internally, good data is critical to making effective decisions reliably and accurately and rapidly, and so these are certainly key assets. We need to be able to exploit our information to really take advantage of what our organizations and individuals have to offer as it relates to innovation. And when we're, determining to take particular courses of action, which the BizBot would call initiatives, if there are any consequences, how that might relate to how we manage information or deal with risk and security associated to information. And of course, a lot of that might be the drivers for why we're doing this. So a lot of people in the Eurozone, as well as across the rest of the world that are doing business in the Eurozone, will know that, come on, I think, May 25th of this year, you are subject to data usage and privacy requirements set out by GDPR. So that may be the basis of initiatives that you're currently executing to be conformant with those privacy standards. And ultimately, one of the big challenges within organizations is who is responsible for the management and governance of data, which is really at the IT level in most cases. But we need to really elevate that up to the business level, which is, again, the whole notion of what the information map is trying to get to. What are the benefits of doing information mapping according to the BizBoc? Again, ability to sustain and deliver customer value more effectively, particularly true when we're trying to create a single view of the customer across a possibly fragmented enterprise where there's different lines of business and they offer different products and services, but the enterprise as a whole really doesn't have a clear understanding of that across those product line or organizational boundaries. And information mapping can really help try to clarify what that shared information is and how that could be exploited internally. It certainly helps with making strategic decisions regarding planning and financial management. Really helps with increasing the possibility of collaboration across different business units, because it's not unlikely that they may be using slightly or very different terminology when they describe themselves. But often what we're trying to do in business architecture is trying to come up with a common view of the enterprise that's independent of local implementation details. And similarly, we can extend that kind of collaboration strategy to business partners that we work with in an extended supply chain or an ecosystem where we have outsourced or near-sourced certain business capabilities. Certainly, business architecture as a whole could be very effective in streamlining M&A activities to really understand what does it mean to absorb another organization. And one of those touch points would be, again, relationships between the acquired organization's terminology and the acquiring organization's terminology. And as mentioned with respect to GDPR in the Eurozone, as well as things like PII, PCI, and HIPAA in the US and other places, really helps out with having a clear vision of how we're going to manage regulatory compliance. So principles of information mapping is, first off, that information is a strategic asset, so therefore it should be managed like a strategic asset. And that's, of course, a big gap that business architecture and information architecture are trying to fulfill to make it that much more disciplined and rigorous. Again, good information improves our decision-making and enables innovation. I probably would choose a slightly different word here about ownership, because that can be very contentious within many organizations. So a lot of people, believe that, hey, if I am the intake of information because of where I happen to sit in a value stream, therefore I'm the owner of that information, and it's usually not quite that simple. And so I would probably elevate that to information is supposed to be governed.
Hi there, I hope you enjoyed that last clip. My name is Michael Malutis, and if you'd like to watch the full 60 minutes of that last webcast, while also gaining complete unlimited access to our entire library of IT learning, simply visit our subscribe page at greatpro.org/subscribe. Unlimited annual access is $199 per year, but if you use the coupon code LEARN2EARN, you can drop that membership fee to just $149. That's less than $13 per month for unlimited access to over 1,000 hours of on-demand career development, covering the entire spectrum of IT management best practices, including business analysis and requirements, software development, quality and testing, risk management, process improvement, project management, and even digital transformation. But your membership doesn't just give you unlimited access to our vast learning library. You also get free access to our mobile app, as well as direct access to our network of over 300 of the world's leading IT consultants, all of whom are dedicated to putting practical knowledge at your fingertips so that you can learn more and earn more. I hope you will join me in becoming a member of the Great IT Professional and advancing your career with us. And if you're on YouTube, don't forget to hit that subscribe button above so that you get notified whenever we publish new free webcasts each week of the year. Thank you for your time and best wishes for your continued success.